Hey, this is Andrew Brown, your AWS community hero, and I have my own recap of Andy Jassy's keynote for reInvent 2020. So we're going to be covering all the new features and services that have been announced as of so far. Of course, there was some the other day, just before the keynote, like Mac OS instances for EC2. So this isn't a exhaustive list, but it's going to be the majority of stuff and everything that was announced in that keynote. So let's jump into it. First up on our list is a change with EC2, and they now support Habana Gaudi AI processors. And these are optimized for AI workloads that's going to help with cost efficiency, give you better performance. And they also natively support common ML frameworks like TensorFlow or PyTorch, so they're specifically designed for this job. As well, developers are going to be able to leverage the Habana Synapses AI software suite, so that allows you to easily build or port existing training models from graphics processing units to Gaudi accelerators. So we have a couple changes here with ECS and EKS, and that is that you can run them from anywhere. And you might think, does that mean like from any region? No, it means from your own data center. So customers no longer need to run, update, maintain their own container orchestrators on premise. It's easier to move the containers to the cloud and manage hybrid environments. And on top of that, at least for EKS, they're open sourcing it. So it's just going to make this a lot easier. And this kind of addresses the issue where people just aren't ready to adopt cloud, or there's a lot of friction to do that. And that's going to make that a lot easier. So here's some of my favorite changes, and it's with AWS Lambda, because I run a lot of serverless workloads, and now AWS Lambda is billed in the milliseconds. And the reason why this is important is that previously it was billed at 100 milliseconds per, but now at 1 millisecond, you're going to save a lot more money because you're only getting billed for what you use. My favorite thing that has been announced is container image support. So you can now package and deploy Lambda functions as container images up to 10 gigabytes. This is great for if you want to run machine learning workloads or other things that you just couldn't fit in as code. Or the use case I'm doing is I'm actually deploying web applications into container images or into Lambda images, and container images are going to make my life a lot easier. So the idea here is that AWS is going to provide us those base images for all the supported Lambda runtimes. So I think that what they mean is they're going to provide us either like a Docker file or something, so we really can see how to construct those. And you can deploy arbitrary base images such as Alpine or Debian Linux. They also are going to provide us client software that's going to allow you to add to your preferred base image to make it more compatible with Lambda services. And let's just talk about some of that stuff. So we got Lambda Runtime Interface Client. This manages the interactions between Lambda and your function code. Then you got the Lambda Runtime Interface Emulator. This allows you to test your functions locally, and this sounds amazing to me. Not that I couldn't do it before, but it's nice that AWS is providing us a tool. And then you got Lambda Extensions API. So this allows you to integrate monitoring, security, and other tools into your Lambda environment. And the idea here is that if you want to deploy your image, you're just going to push it onto ECR. AWS Proton is a new cloud service and the most talked about new service, and I'll touch on that here in a little bit. But AWS Proton is a fully managed deployment service for containers and serverless, and it connects and coordinates all different tools needed for infrastructure provisioning, code deployments, monitoring, updates, and it will maintain hundreds or thousands of microservice CI/CD configurations from a centralized location. So the idea is that AWS Proton automates the creation and management of deployment pipelines so developers can focus on their code. It can provide you templates based on the well-architected framework. At least that's what I inferred from the marketing information we have to enforce best practices. You can create a stack that defines provisioning, deployment, and monitoring pipelines. The stack is a reusable version-controlled template, and they define infrastructure as code. So I imagine it's using CloudFormation underneath. The reason this is so much talked about is that we don't really know how it works. And this is a huge pain point, is setting up CI/CD pipelines. And even for myself, like I want to know if I can use it for my serverless stuff because I set up code pipelines all the time, and it's a lot of work to maintain those. And so anything easier sounds really exciting. So really interested to see what the service is when we get more information. Moving over to some cloud storage, we're looking at EBS, and now we have some new volumes, starting with general purpose version 3, GP3. And this is the next generation of general purpose SSD volumes. It's 20% lower in price point per gigabyte than the existing GP2 volumes. So I see no reason to use GP2 anymore. You can independently provision the IOPS and throughput separately from storage capacity. You get a baseline performance of 3,000 IOPS and 120 megabytes a second at volume size. It can scale up to 16,000 IOPS and 1,000 megabytes for additional fee. And this is ideal for a variety of applications that require high performance at low cost, including MySQL, Cassandra, virtual desktops, and Hadoop analytics clusters. Now, if you want to migrate it, you can easily do that with the, what's the feature called? Using elastic volumes, and that's going to help you move from GP2 to GP3. That is not a new feature, but I just want to make you aware about that. There's one that I just can't seem to find any marketing information on, so I'm just not sure if I'm just lying to you here, but I'm almost certain that there's an IO3 volume. But anyway, if there's not, I'm sorry, but I have the information on it anyway, and I got 1,000 megabytes per second throughout and 64 IOPS max. But anyway, yeah, if somebody can tell me about that, I'd like to know. Then there's IO2 Block Express. This is the first SAN built for the cloud. If you've never heard of SAN, that stands for Storage Area Network. And this is a dedicated, independent, high-speed network that interconnects and delivers shared pools of storage devices to multiple servers. And so it has 4 times the throughput and IOPS and capacity of an IO2 volume, along with sub-millisecond latency. So this is some serious stuff. 256,000 IOPS with 4,000 megabytes per second throughput, 64 terabyte of capacity, ideal for the largest, most IO-intensive mission-critical deployments for Oracle, SAP HANA, Microsoft SQL Server, and SaaS Analytics. Let's take a look here at Amazon Aurora, and we got a couple interesting things. The first is Aurora Serverless version 2. Why would they need a version 2? We'll tell you in 2 seconds. So first, it scales instantly from hundreds to hundreds of thousands of transactions in a fraction of a second. And the real deal here is that there is no database capacity for you to manage. You pay only for the capacity your application consumes. So if you're not familiar, Amazon Aurora Serverless requires you to set these Aurora capacity units, and that was kind of a bit of a pain, but now it's just on-demand pricing like DynamoDB on demand, and I'm just curious to see if there's also a performance improvement with it, but I'm not sure. So save up to 90% on your database cost compared to the cost provision capacity for peak load. The second part here is Babelfish for Aurora Postgres SQL. This one is quite an interesting feature that they've added. And what it is, it's a SQL server compatible endpoint for Postgres. So it's a translation layer for SQL Server proprietary SQL dialect TSQL and communicates protocols so that businesses can switch to AWS Aurora's relational database. It provides translations for dialects, but also SQL commands, cursors, catalog views, data types, triggers, stored procedures, functions, and soon it will be open source in Q1 of 2021. If it's not clear what this is, the idea is that if you're using MS SQL servers and you're paying for licenses and things like that, and you found that really costly, this is basically making Postgres compatible with MS SQL so that you can migrate over to it to a more cost-effective solution where there are no licenses. And Andy Jassy has a really good quote. I think it's the quote, but he says, "Stop paying for SQL server licenses you don't need." And so that's a really big deal, at least in the enterprise world. So we got one extra feature here with AWS Glue Elastic, and it's called Elastic Views. Easy to build materialized views that combine and replicate data across multiple data stores without you having to write custom code. And to make this really clear, I've highlighted 2 things in red. So you can use SQL to quickly create a virtual table materialized view for multiple different source data stores. This is super powerful because imagine using a single SQL to pull data from multiple databases. Absolutely amazing. Copies data from each source data store and creates a replica in the target data store, continuously monitors for changes to data in your source data stores, provides updates to the materialized views in your target data stores automatically. That just means it's going to keep it always up to date. Supports right now for the following databases. We got DynamoDB, S3, Redshift, Elasticsearch Service, and we're going to get future support for Amazon Relational Database, RDS, and Amazon Aurora, and absolutely more. So I really like this new feature. Lots of announcements for new SageMaker features or services, depending on the way you want to look at it. The first being Data Wrangler, which is a data preparation service to simplify data science jobs and prepare features. So the idea here is you complete each step of the data preparation workflow from a single visual interface. And this could be steps like data selection, cleansing, exploration, visualization. And it also comes with 300 built-in automated transformations. So the idea is that you can just start pulling these transformation algorithms, and it's going to do a lot of the work for you. Once your data is prepared, you can build a fully automated ML workflows with the other two new services, Pipelines and Feature Store. And let's go talk about those now. So SageMaker Feature Store is a fully managed repository for machine learning features. And the idea here is we can store, update, and retrieve, share ML features in one place. And just to kind of set the stage of, what's the purpose of this, the accuracy of your ML model is based on a precise set of composition of features. These features are used repeatedly by multiple teams and training multiple models. So the idea here is that Feature Store keeps a single source of features that is consistent and up to date across different access patterns. Two things that data scientists need a lot is storing your Feature Store for training and Feature Store for interference. I'm not sure how the structure is for this service yet. I think it might be one repository. They split them up for you. Who knows? But the point is that it's all going to be centralized for you. And the other thing here is that it keeps track of metadata of stored features, such as the feature name and version number, so that you can query the feature for the right attribute in batches or real time using Amazon Athena. On to SageMaker Pipelines, which is MLOps as a service. It's the first purpose-built, easy-to-use CI/CD service for machine learning. It's going to orchestrate workflows across each step of the machine learning process, such as exploring data, preparing data, experimenting, training, tuning models, deploying models to production. The idea here is you can build dozens of ML models a week, manage massive volumes of data, thousands of training experiments, and hundreds of different model versions. And you can also share and reuse your workflows to recreate or optimize models, helping you to scale ML throughout your organization. If you've ever had to build an ML pipeline, it's a lot of work. This is such a great feature. Onto a new service called Amazon DevOps Guru, and this is a fully managed operations service that uses ML to detect operational issues and recommend fixes. So there is no hardware software to deploy, and you only pay for the data that's analyzed. There is no upfront cost or commitment. Reduce the time and effort spent on detecting, debugging, and resolving operational issues such as misconfigurations, unbalanced container clusters, resource depletion. I'm sure there's more. Guru detects and then recommends a remediation action. You can also search and visualize operational data by integrating data across multiple sources, supporting things like CloudWatch, AWS Config, AWS CloudTrail, CloudFormation, X-Ray, and Guru starts to accumulate logs and analyze your environment, so it will take up to several hours. I think somebody was asking if it actually supported code commit, because it would be kind of funny if AWS didn't have support for that off the bat, but I guess we'll find out. Amazon QuickSight has a new feature called Q, and what that is an NLP question and answer service for your BI dashboard. So it's using machine learning powered natural language processing capabilities that empowers business users to ask questions about all of their data using everyday business language and get an answer in seconds. So the idea here is you're going to type in a question into the Q search bar. As you type, it's going to autocomplete, suggest things, spell check, acronyms, synonyms. So it really makes it easy for you to figure out what you need to type in. It's going to use ML to understand users' intent and the meaning of the underlying data to generate an answer for the users. Q comes pre-trained on data from various domains and industries like sales, marketing, operations, retail, human resources, pharmaceuticals, insurance, energy, and more. So isn't that really nice? It's like having somebody like a data analyst, but all you have to do is type in the bar and they'll give you the data you want for your business people. I think the most announced features is for Amazon Connect. They've really dug their heels deep into this service, making it even better than before. Let's talk about some of the new features they've added. The first is Amazon Connect Wisdom. This uses ML to reduce time an agent spends finding customer answers. The next is customer profiles. So you create profiles of customers, and then agents can better understand returning customers and provide improved customer service. Then you have real-time contact lens, and this uses ML to analyze call recordings or customer sentiment, trends, and compliance of conversation. So it could tell you if maybe a customer was angry. You have Connect Task. This is empowering contact centers managers to prioritize, assign, and track customer service tasks across applications used by agents. You can follow up on cases in your CRM, like Salesforce or Zendesk. But if you want to use a different CRM or you want to roll your own, it has a very easy to use API. By using this, you can save up to 15% of your agent time finding documents or authentication. And we're talking about authentication. It's really this last part here about voice ID. So instead of asking a customer a series of questions to authenticate, like to confirm their identity, you can just use a voice ID. And a voice ID uses ML to verify the identity of genuine customers by analyzing a caller's unique voice characteristics. Somebody said, well, what happens if you got a cold? I guess they would just rely on the manual process there. But there you go. Let's take a look here at Amazon Monitron, which is an end-to-end equipment monitoring system that uses ML to detect abnormal behaviors in industrial machines, enabling you to implement predictive maintenance and reduce unplanned downtime. And so it's actually both software and a physical device. So it comes with these sensors, and they can capture vibrations and temperature data from equipment. It also has a gateway device to securely transfer data to AWS. And this service can analyze the data for abnormal machine patterns using ML. It also comes with a companion mobile app to set up the devices and receive reports on operating behavior and alerts to potential failures in your machinery. Let's take a look at this new service called Amazon Lookout for Vision, and it is an ML visual defects detection service for industrial products. So you can send your sensor data from your industrial equipment to AWS to build ML models. The idea here is you automate real-time visual inspection with computer vision for processes like quality control and defect assessment. You don't need to know any ML to use this service. You use computer vision to identify missing components in things like products, damage to vehicles or structures, irregularities in production lines, and minuscule defects in silicon wafers. So I think the last one there is to emphasize how precise and accurate this is and how small the defect can be. And the idea here is other physical items where quality is important to you. You can get started in minutes by providing as few as 30 images for the process you want to visually inspect. Once you have uploaded your images, the service analyzes images from your cameras that monitor the process line in real time to quickly and accurately identify anomalies like dents, cracks, and scratches. It spots differences between the baseline images provided and the image feed from the process line and reports the presence of product defects. Reports are available in an easy-to-use dashboard in the AWS Management Console, so you can quickly take action and reduce further defects, saving you time and money. So AWS Panorama Appliance is a computer vision service for on-premise cameras to make automated predictions with high accuracy and low latency. The way you can think of this is computer vision at the edge or on the edge, however you want to say it. So the idea here is you're going to develop a computer vision model using Amazon SageMaker, then deploy it to Panorama Appliance, then run the model on video feeds for multiple networks and IP cameras. It also comes with an SDK that can be used by third-party device manufacturers to build Panorama-enabled devices. And the SDK is flexible with a small footprint, making it easy for hardware vendors to build new devices in various form factors and sensors to satisfy use cases across different industries and environments, including industrial sites, low-light scenarios, and the outdoors. A couple changes here to AWS Outposts, and that's that they have two new form factors, the 1U and the 2U. I don't have any cool photos, but I'll just tell you what it is. They are rack-mountable servers that will provide local compute and networking services to edge locations that have limited space or smaller capacity requirements. Outpost servers are ideal for customers with low latency or local data processing needs for on-premise locations, such as retail stores, branch offices, healthcare, provider locations, and factory floors. But I'll show you what the 4.2U rack is. And this was already out. This was announced I think it was announced 2 years ago and released last year. But I just want to kind of give you an idea. So this is a full rack, right? And so I would imagine that a 1U or 2U would be like the servers inside of it. So it'd be a lot smaller and probably more cost effective if you didn't want to buy a full rack. Some new announcements here with local zones, and if you aren't familiar with the service, it's a data center located very close to a density populated area to provide single-digit millisecond low latency performance, like 7 milliseconds for that area. The purpose for local zone is to support highly demanding applications sensitive to latency, like media equipment, electronic design, automation, ad tech, machine learning, and that makes total sense when you understand that the first zone location our local zone was in Los Angeles, California. And so AWS has announced support for 3 new local zones: Boston, Houston, and Miami, as well as 12 more local zones in the future in 2021, such as Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, Denver, Kansas City, Las Vegas, Minneapolis, New York, Philadelphia, Phoenix, Portland, and Seattle. And I guess I'll just have to wait for Toronto in the future. So the last one on our list here is changes to wavelength. And so wavelength allows you to deploy your mobile apps on the edge of a 5G network, which is just a data center with a partnered telecom company. And this makes it really easy if you have mobile apps and you really want super fast performance where it really matters. And so AWS was already partnered with Vodafone and Verizon, but they've now extended that partnership with a few new companies such as KDDI in Tokyo, SK Telecom in South Korea, and it looks like they're expanding into more markets with Vodafone, such as in London. So thank you for joining me for this quick recap of the keynotes for reInvent 2020. If you got any questions, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter. And I hope you enjoy the rest of reInvent. Ciao.